What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Jedi Media channel. Football is back as our teams play their first preseason games. Of course, I here represent the Jets-Alorain Podcast, BX Sports Jedi Kev, and from the Dawgs Unleashed, the one and only Hoss Knucklebrew. Hoss, you ready for some football?
Yes, man. Football is back, Kev. We got the Dogs playing on Saturday afternoon. We got an interesting quarterback battle going on in Cleveland that a lot of people are either excited or underwhelmed about. So we're going to talk about that. And I really want to learn a good bit about the Jets today. I see some of your draft picks, so I might learn a little bit from your end as well. So yes, I'm very excited. Football is back.
Absolutely. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, and share. We'll be having individuals and collaborating football shows. Of course, you got the Dogs Unleashed with the Hoss. Of course, he's going to be talking about Cleveland Brown centric. The Jets-Alorain Podcast going to be back here. We got the Giants Take with Chef Dan as well. And you can also catch the PGH Chris Steelers report on the PGH Chris TV. And you'll probably see it collaborating here on the Sports Jedi Media and so forth. But we got a lot of different. Then you're going to have the AFC North gathering or collaboration there. We're looking for some Raven fans as well as a Cincinnati Bengals fan. These guys want to talk about the North and who will win the AFC North. My question to you, Haas, life after Myles Garrett for your defense. I know everyone goes that we all know that the team goes as far as your quarterback, but I want to talk about your life after Garrett, your number one franchise defensive player on the team. How do you think your group is going to adjust?
Oh well, in the trade, we got our biggest piece out of the trade was Jared Verse, which he's been a very strong player for the Rams his first couple of years, and a lot of people are expecting him to just come there and replicate Miles' production. Verse is a very good player. We got to hold our horses. He can't just come here and replicate a guy who just set the NFL sack record. We're not expecting that. But we are expecting pressures aplenty, and we are expecting double-digit sacks, and being able to funnel the run game to our linebackers and to our three techniques, our defensive tackles, to keep our defense in front for a series. So the thing about we're not going to have much of a drop-off by losing Miles. I mean, there's a lot. We may not be a top 5 defense. We may regress to maybe top 10 to maybe a little bit over middle of the road. So I'm expecting between 5 and 12 on our defense. And I will not be mad at that. I'm not going to come out here and just say Jared Verse must get 20 sacks or he must get 70 pressures or it's a failure. See, no, we got to be realistic here. And a lot of things is we just want to be consistent on defense. That's all. So I hope a lot of people are not going into this season with bad faith. Talking about, oh, Miles, they traded Miles and we're not going to be good. That's not going to be the case. We're going to be consistent, and we're also coming under with a new defensive coordinator. So Cleveland fans need to give us a little grace on that. Just make sure everybody can get their bearings, and by like week 5 or 6, we can have a conversation to see how strong we'll be.
Let me ask this: we were talking about the defense. Does it maintain its identity, or does it take a step back? Do you think they maintain their defensive identity, or you think there'll be a massive drop off? It seems like it's not. You look like it's going to stay the same, especially that front seven. And do you think they'll adjust to their new defensive coordinator?
Yes, I think we're going to adjust. The adjustment's it's going to be some growing pains there, but it's not going to be that difficult of a transition because they did not change the defensive philosophy that much. The system didn't change much at all. We just moved a few players here and there. Our corners are the same pretty much, and our linebackers we're being anchored by Carson Swessinger at linebacker, very good young player. And with our defense, we got Mason Graham. He was our top 5 pick last year from the Travis Hunter trade. He's going to be highlighted more at defensive tackle. We got Jared Verse up there, like I told you, from the Myles Garrett trade. And also we're expecting big things from Mike Hall. He's one of our young players from Ohio State from a couple of years ago. So we have the pieces to stay consistent. It's just think about it, if I know we'll get to the offense, as long as the offense can stay ahead of the chains and don't turn the ball over and put our defense in bad positions, they should stay in a consistent range.
All right, I absolutely wanted to hear that. And yes, we definitely have you're definitely is a year of evaluating your core talent, especially on the offensive side. The big question, and that's the same question for both our franchises. We'll talk about the Jets in a moment. It's about the man on the middle, under center. You got Deshaun Watson with that massive contract. You have to pretty much play him, especially the amount of money that the franchise has invested in him. But then you have a young, you could say enigma or untapped potential in just Shador Sanders, where fan favorite, but a lot of talking heads, know-it-alls, don't seem that he is the answer for Cleveland. And it seems like it's a merry-go-round of who's going to be under center, what benefits the team, what benefits the organization. But sometimes what benefits the organization and moving forward or prosperity is normally what not what the experts say. You can't
Mhm.
measure heart, you can't measure win, and you can't measure determination. I wonder from the Cleveland Browns fan, because fans always want the exciting talk about, but what is your perspective or what's your hope? Because look, me and you both, we hope for the best, but expect the worst.
My hope is that I get at least mediocre quarterback play. I'm not up here asking for a Pro Bowl play. I'm not asking for a top 5 or top 10. I just want guys that can keep us competitive in games and that don't put our defense in bad predicaments. So let's get our guys lined up on time. Get the plays in on time. Make sure we stay ahead of the chain. So the biggest bugaboo of the Cleveland Browns in the last 3 or 4 years have been pre-snap penalties. We're up here getting a delay of game, false starts, stuff like that. So if we could just take that down just a tick, I'm talking about we would be at the top. We're usually at the top of the league when it comes to pre-snap penalties. And we can bring that back to middle of the road, maybe 15th to 14th. That will go a long way for the Cleveland Browns on offense. We will be in positions where we're in 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, and the series is already derailed because you got the opposing defense. They know you got to pass. There is no surprise that's coming out there. They got to throw it deep, and that would just do us bad because we did not have that many deep threats. And you take away our bread and butter, which was the run game. You're putting these quarterbacks who haven't been that good recently in bad predicaments. So with that, and with the QB competition, we got Deshaun Watson, which is a pariah to many people because they take the allegations that he had personally, which we talk about in wrestling. You shouldn't be getting that involved in people's personal lives, especially if they haven't done anything criminally wrong. So, however you feel about the civil suits, that's how you feel. I can't sway you either way. But the biggest thing with Deshaun is he just hasn't been that good when he has been on the field, and I can't. The thing about his numbers are misleading. If I had to, we'll come to that another time. But if you look at it on paper, the numbers aren't that bad. But it's just the fact that he's sporadic. He's not really on the field enough to just see him play consistently. So, and with Shador Sanders, Shador comes with a lot of baggage, which we were talking about fans from Colorado, Jackson State. And these fans are very overzealous. They're similar to the wrestling fans that we talk about on the regular. Like they are really behind their guy, rah guy, but they get what's the best way to put it? They get out of reality when they talk about Shador's play. Because if I go to these numbers, he was at the bottom of the field when it comes to QBR. He had 8 total touchdowns and he had 10 interceptions. And he had his wow moments. Everybody be like, he was a rookie. You got to give him some grace. And I always give rookies grace. I do that. But the thing about it is these fans, they get so over their skis. They get overzealous. Like if you give a honest critique, they get mad at you for pointing out what's going on. So we have to be very fair when it comes to Deshaun and Shador. Both of these guys, they're not good right now. They're just not. So if I go either way, honestly, I would like Deshaun to start the season off. He is starting tomorrow at Chicago. He will be starting. Coach Tom Monken said he will get a half of football. So I want to see that. Will we see the Bears starters? Probably not. But go out there, have consistent drives. Don't put the ball in bad positions. Get us lined up correctly. And I think it will have a good showing from there. And Shaduro will be starting the next week in Buffalo, well, in Cleveland against Buffalo. So that we have both our guys getting getting a start apiece. And we may get a feeling of what Todd Monken wants to look at quarterback.
And speaking of Todd Monken, his era, let me ask this question to you honestly. I know that it's as of right now. Can his offense translate to consistent success? He's coming back from the success at Georgia, orchestrating that offensive attack with the Ravens and all that. Do you think his success with the Browns is going to translate, even with the uncertainty of the quarterback?
Yes, I think it will translate. It just depends on how the guys process information. Because he comes from for success in Baltimore over the last few seasons. Mm-hmm. And we know he had a 2-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. So, of course, I'm not expecting my quarterbacks to be Lamar Jackson. But the offense is very quarterback friendly. A lot of rollouts, a lot of dump off, short passes, play action that takes you deep off into the field. So it's very cool. I don't think the nomenclature is going to be too difficult for the quarterbacks to comprehend. I could be wrong on that, but from what I've been noticing with Baltimore, they really watered down the defense to be simplistic for Lamar to just run it. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you're saying Lamar can't do these things?" When I say simplistic, I'm talking about toning the plays down when they don't have 15 names in one play. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we can get the plays in quick, run with tempo. So I really believe that Todd Monken is bringing that over to these young quarterbacks so they can easily pick up. And it's produced. That offense, if you go back to Baltimore, go to their numbers, they have been top in offense over the last 3 or 4 years. And other than Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, I know those are 2 Hall of Fame guys. I understand that. But other than that, all they have is really Zay Flowers over there. Cleveland has a lot of young talent that's ready to break out right now. So if we can get consistent play at quarterback, like I said, mediocre, that's all I'm asking. Just be middle of the road. If we can get that and get the playmakers going, I believe that offense can be really strong for Cleveland this year.
And speaking of the young playmakers, it seems like with the new coaching staff here, you need someone to keep it simplified. When I mean simplification is getting back to doing the basics correctly. Like you said, pre-snap penalties on both line and dominate your line, whether it's offensive line and defensive line. For the offense, if you have any doubts on your quarterback play, you want to make sure how strong is your offensive line to buy them enough time, either for rollout, quick short passes, or lack of thinking on the quarterbacks. Either one, whoever's under center, if the offensive line gives them enough time and know that protection is there from the blind side, that should enable either quarterback under center to make the right decision. Now, it's up to them to execute the offense and the timing and slow the game down. But how confident are you, first on your O-line and your D-line, to control the line of scrimmage?
Offensive line first. I have to shout out Andrew Berry, our GM, for this. He has really reshaped our offensive line this year. We drafted Spencer Fano, the anchor on left tackle. We picked up Elton Jenkins from the Green Bay Packers. He's going to probably be playing center more than likely for us. If not center, he will be playing one of the guard positions. But he's been a strong cog in the Green Bay Packers offensive line over the last few years. So that was a big free agent pickup for us. And we also traded for Titus Howard to play the right tackle position. And last year, we had some of the worst tackle play that you can see in football. Like, if people really, if they honest to goodness watch football, you win games from the inside out, not the outside in. If your tackles cannot protect your quarterback, you are DOA. So we got both our tackles together. We've worked on our guard as also, and we also got a new center. Our offensive line, I think we're going to be one of the probably top 12 offensive lines this year. They may sound a little bit ambitious, but I have a lot of respect for the guys that we brought in. So I see a lot of potential there. And with our defensive line, like I said, it's going to depend on the play of Mason Graham. If Mason Graham is worth his salt at that position that we draft him at, which he was the player that we brought in after the Travis Hunter trade. So he has a lot going for him. He has a lot to prove. And he came on strong late in the season last year, but this year is going to be a big thing for him. He has to be that big anchor, big belly, big man up there to anchor our defensive line. Him and Jared Verse and like I said, Mike Hall. It's going to be a big deal for those guys to come up there and try to. I'm not going to say replicate what Myles Garrett used to do by disrupting the offense, but just keep the fort steady. That's all, because we had a strong pass rush over the last couple of years. And Jared Verse, he gets the pressures. His sack numbers hasn't been that high, so I believe if he can ramp up to maybe between 12 and 15 sacks this year, and Mason Graham come there, he's just a consistent disruptor at the point of attack. I really believe that the defense will be great up there. So I don't really have that much of a problem with our D line.
Let me ask this. We talk about the defensive line and the pressure, even yes, losing Myles Garrett's a huge void. But my question is, how strong is that secondary if there is not that enough pressure from Garrett getting there? And let's say there are 2 seconds delay to get to the pass rush, to attacking the quarterback, making them tippy toe, making them dance. How strong is your secondary?
We still have Denzel Ward manning our corner out there. He's a 5-time Pro Bowl. Honestly, he's probably going to be up for the Hall of Fame by the time his career is over. And he might be one of the most underappreciated players because he does play in Cleveland, hasn't been in many winning situations. But yes, we have Denzel Ward, and we also we made a trade last year for Tyson Campbell. We traded him for him and Greg Newsome to Jacksonville. And Tyson Campbell, he fits our man-on-man defense better than Greg Newsome did. No disrespect to Newsome. He was just a different type of player for a different type of formation. So Tyson Campbell, he's been pretty good. He came in and he played very well for us last year. So on the outsides, we're pretty good. We re-signed Grant Delpit at safety, and he plays more of a box safety type of play, in the vein of Troy Polamalu, come down to the line of scrimmage, may be a blitzing safety play, may give you some linebacker type play at safety. Not much of the free safety, center field guy. But he's playing very good. He earned an extension last year. We also drafted a safety. His name is McNeil something. I can't recollect his name right now. I'll get back to you on that. But he was a strong player at Akron, and he's more of a guy that really roams around all around the defense. And he could be a very young cog for us. And we got another guy named Ronnie Hickman who played pretty good safety last year. Our defense is still intact. Like, contrary to what the national people believe, because all they knew was Myles Garrett, this defense is still going to be consistently good. Like, offenses will have to be on their toes against us every week still.
I like what you said there, because it leads me to this here. And I know it's early. It's only preseason. We're in August. Everyone's excited. Everyone has a clean slate. Everyone's at 0-0. No one's winning the division yet. No one, although you could lose it in September. I mean, trust me, we know. If you're a Giant and Jet fan in New York football or even in Cleveland at times. My point is, you see the division. You're looking around the division where Baltimore has a new head coach. It's a new era, and a whole new era, a whole new system. We don't know if players want to buy in, if they miss Harbaugh or not. That's a big question mark. And of course, Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. It might be a test, but the defense might suffer, or even the ins and outs on the attention to details for Baltimore might take a step back due to the fact there's a new head coach, and players want to try the new head coach and so forth. That's a question mark. The same question could be asked with your Browns as well. But I want to talk about the other teams, like Baltimore, Pittsburgh. They're bringing Aaron Rodgers back, which could be his farewell tour. Who knows with him? I feel he kind of brings like a too much of an attention to the Steelers lunch pail mentality. Go in there and work. Tomlin, everyone do your job. It feels like he's a diva. We don't know if it's more important. They're worried about if he's married. Who is he married to? Also, his relationship with McCarthy. I know Chris could break that down, and please check out PGH Chris Steeler Report, because he will definitely gives you the ins and outs of the Steelers football. But for me, from being on the outside looking in, Rodgers at 41, 42 years old. What does he have left in the tank? He had a decent year last year. He got coming off an injury with the Jets. But they also have question marks. The Cincinnati Bengals, where you could say the head coach is on the hot seat, and they have question marks. They have to take that next step. They kind of gotta own the division, Hoss, here. What do you look at the view around? And if you maintain a top 10 defense, you should be able to compete. But then again, the quarterback play. But you could say that about everyone except for Cincinnati, and you could say everyone in the division has pretty decent quarterback play. That's where your team steps back. But hey, anything can happen. Like I said, it's a clean slate.
Looking around the division, the guys I'm worried about the most is really the Cincinnati Bengals. With Joe Burrow coming back, I think he has a new fire with himself, because I think he really wants to stay healthy for his team, because he said a few years ago that the championship window is as long as he's there. And he's not lying. It's the truth. When Joe Burrow is out there, that's a top 5 quarterback, and he's really not 5. You can say he's really top 2 or 3. And with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on the outside, and another guy with Chase Brown at running back, that offense is very scary to look at going on a week-to-week basis. So even though I despise Cincinnati with every bone in my body, that's who I would take to win the division off the preseason right now, because they just look so impressive. And they picked up Dexter Lawrence and in a trade in the offseason.
The Giants. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was a very big trade for them to help anchor their defensive line. Going to Pittsburgh. With Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers is – what's the best way to put it? He still has a live arm. His legs are not as live as they used to be. Like he's pretty much a statue back there, and he does not want to be hit. So the offensive line for Pittsburgh, for what I've been noticing, they have been trying to reshape it a bit, but they want to get the ball out quickly. So that's why they brought in Michael Pittman Jr. They're going to really be focusing on Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren in the run game. So I expect a lot of swing passes to short passes to Michael Pittman Jr. I could see DK Metcalf getting having a different role on this team, because Aaron's going to want to get this ball out like vintage Tom Brady, between maybe 1.5 to 3 seconds. So that you're not going to have many deep routes. So that's with Mike McCarthy. He's going to come in and he's going to just reshape that offense to be very quickly. They're going to be playing with tempo. So I could see them going to Freiermuth or maybe Darnell Washington a lot. So it's going to be a lot of dink and dunk if you want to put it short there. And with Baltimore, they got a new coach. They're going back to their defensive philosophy days like they used to be with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. And for what I've been hearing from camp is their new OC, Declan Doyle, is just raving over Lamar Jackson, like how he's been able to perceive information and play quickly. I know Zay Flowers, he did get knocked out of practice a little while ago, but he's come back strong this week. And I've been hearing a lot of their rookie wide receiver, Jacoby Lane, I think his name is. So I'm expecting the same old thing from Baltimore, but I think they're going to regress just a bit. They may win between 8 and 10 football games, unless their defense is going to be elite. I don't know about that just yet. I'm just got to see that play out. But if I was just ranking the division right now, I would say Cincinnati 1, Baltimore 2, Pittsburgh 3, and Cleveland 4.
That's fair enough to say that at this time here. Remember, it's August 14th. We haven't seen a game yet. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of question mark with head coach and quarterback dynamic. With all 4 of the teams in the A, you could say that about every team in the NFL. Just maybe a little bit of a handful ones that we know, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to have that issue, and so forth. Hey, we're seeing that in my division. When we'll talk about it in a second. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I think 3 out of the 3 teams make the postseason out of your division. That's how much high I couple walk. Yeah, I really do. It's a mixed match there. To me, yeah, because this is the most fascinating. Either 3 make the postseason or they're going to really, really struggle. I don't see them. I don't see a balance or them in the middle of the pack. Either you're going to have 3 good teams or you're really going to have 3. You're really going to have one division winner by default and everyone else is going to struggle. That's the way I see it.
I mean that actually happened a couple years ago, so but it is not uncommon, but it's a little ambitious this year because I will say the AFC West is a strong division this year. I mean, you got the Chiefs out there, you got the Chargers, and you got the Broncos. So that would be my betting division to get three teams in if they could. But the AFC it has a lot of new players now, like with the rise of the Jaguars. You got the Colts who are a threat with if Daniel Jones can stay healthy.
I don't
Um,
believe in him.
I don't either, but he did surprise me a lot last year. I did not expect him
Fool's
to be
gold.
so good.
I say fool's gold, Haas. I
You,
look. We watched him under center. We
mhm.
seen him. He's fool's gold, bro. He got a coach fired.
You are right. You are right. But the thing about it, when it's just when you give him a little, you give him a little grace, and you believe in him. I believe he can do something for you. But the Giants, I believe the thing about it, you paid him too much in New York. That's all it was. If they didn't pay him all that money, they would have gave him a little bit more grace. But when we give you $100+ million, you got to go. So I get it. And also you got the Patriots who are just coming off this Super Bowl loss. It's a lot of new players with a lot of young quarterbacks. So it's hard to say that the North is going to get three teams in, but like I say, it is not unprecedented. So I get where you're going with that.
Yeah. Did now refresh my memory because we stuck into wrestling and we're stuck and I'm doing so many thousand things. Did the Bengals didn't change head coach? They still with the same head coach. Am I correct?
No, yes, Zach Taylor is still there. He may be on the hot seat because, like I say, Joe Burrow is always out, which he can't control that. He could he could stem the tide on that if he can get the offensive line to just block a second more, or have Joe not run these plays where he has to drop back 5 and 7 times as often. So yeah, Zach Taylor's he's on the hot seat, but they did not change coach.
Now, Bengals rarely fire their head coach. You saw
Mhm.
Marvin Lewis be there forever and so forth. But I've said this, and it ties in a lot to my team. I don't know why my team is infatuated, of course, with it, but I say Burrow is going to be a Jet quarterback in 2027. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. I don't know. Some way, somehow, I think the New York Jets will find a way to get Joe Burrow on that team. It's similar to a Boomer Esiason move. Yeah, I'm one of those that history repeats itself. I wouldn't be, and it's a far fetched one, guys. Though I know people's like, he must be bugging. And you know what? Nothing is impossible. I think Joe Burrow ends up with the Jets next year for some reason. That's just me. I just got a hunch. I was right. Was right about last year in the beginning of the preseason where I thought Tomlin was going to be out and Harbaugh this year. I said either one or both are going to be out of the NFC, AFC North, and both are gone.
When it comes to your Jets, Kev, nothing is out of the realm of possibility when it comes to the Jets. It depends on how Woody Johnson is feeling, your owner. Is he going to be so enamored by Madden ratings to just say, "Hey, I can protect Joe Burrow. I'm not cheap like Mike Brown in Cincinnati. We can get guys here. We're drafting pretty well as of late. Why not Joe Burrow? Why not us?" So I can see where you're going with that because I don't think with Geno Smith this year, it depends on how the season goes. Like if you just say y'all win 6 games, that's gonna knock you out of number one quarterback contention. And then it can also swing the other way. You might win 2 games and you're right back with the number one pick. So I believe it just depends on where you're going to end this year. If y'all have a resurgence and win 6 to 8 football games, I can see the Joe Burrow thing possibly happening. I don't know the details of his contract as of yet, but it could get to a point where Cincinnati says, "Oh, he may be damaged goods," and see what can we get for him now before he gets longer in the tooth. And I can see the Jets biting on that.
Right.
But if you were to win 2 football games and you're in the Arch Manning, CJ Carr sweepstakes or whatever quarterback that's get propped up next year, you won't be making a play for that because
Right.
you want cheap labor. That's the biggest thing in the NFL now. They want everybody on rookie contracts so they can build around them. So, like I say, if it looks like you're getting better to contend, the Joe Burrow thing may come to fruition. But if you're still sliding and you're 2-15, no, you won't be making that play.
Haas, watching the Jets as long as I've watched from Ken O'Brien, Neil O'Donnell, Glenn Foley, you name it, the who's of no ones, you know, my luck, and I was saying this to Chef Dan, who covers the Giants on our channel, where my luck, the Jets are gonna with Geno Smith, with Frank Wright. I'm very high on Frank Wright as the offensive coordinator. I really like what I'm seeing there. I think he's the head coach, the interim head coach to replace Aaron Glenn if things go wrong. But my point, what I'm trying to say, knowing the Jets and our luck, because we know the NFL now, you need a rookie quarterback to come in on a rookie scale contract to try to win the Super Bowl in the 3 years that before you have to extend him or give him a massive raise, where you could bring other pieces around you, whether via free agent or keep your own Pro Bowl players to try to win that Super Bowl. A la the Patriots last year, the Kansas City Chiefs, and so forth. But my luck, the New York Jets will probably win 7 to 8 games beyond the cusp of the postseason. Dare I say, maybe this is a far fetched win the play and just get enough out of getting one of the top, because they're going to be. They say this draft is at least 4 to 5 quarterbacks deep. My Jets bad luck or being a Jet fan and how it lines up, we'll just probably be 1 draft pick away from getting in our Steph Curry. If you're a Knick fan, you understand what I mean. Just out of the reach of getting that elusive quarterback who might be the turn of your franchise. And I think they're going to get stuck chasing, like I said, a Joe Burrow. I can see a Joe Burrow where he's still going to be young enough. He's still going to be a seasoned quarterback with Frank Wright. Hopefully Frank Wright sticks around, and maybe Aaron Glenn, although I'm not too big on Aaron Glenn, but it's his first year. You have to learn how to crawl before you walk in anything in walk of life. So I'm giving him that benefit of the doubt. Although, man, the leash is short for Aaron Glenn. That's my thinking process going in here. I'll tell you a little bit about Frank. I like Frank as offense coordinator. We're gonna get a adult in the room to call the right plays and analyze and design something that's going to be the strength of the team. Although there's a lot of question mark from Geno Smith, the backup quarterback. Which Geno Smith we're getting? Are we getting the one we saw 2 years ago from Seattle, or are we going to see the atrocious Raider quarterback underneath the way? And by the way, for everyone that was talking about and going crazy, and I was the one that said, no freaking way, don't entertain it. Oh, we need to get Pete Carroll as a Jet coach. How did that work out for the Raiders? How did that work out? No, I didn't want him. I was the one I was like, please don't even mention him, possibly Jet coach, chewing his stupid gum on the sideline. No, he's been here. He's been here, chompers. Been here, done that. We didn't need him. Thank goodness that he was not a Jet head coach. Glenn hasn't been great to me. I still want to see if Tomlin wants to come in if Aaron Glenn doesn't work. But I want to give Glenn a benefit of the doubt. I understand he didn't show me anything to warrant him to really come back. This is the year. This should have been the year they should have got rid of him and bring him in 1-year deal. You would have brought someone, but you know what? He's here now. I can't do nothing about it. I can't try to put the toothpaste back in the tube. And now let's see. Let's go forward. Let's move the first foot forward. Although I don't have any confidence in my head coach, but again, what gives me the saving grace? You have Frank Wright on offense, and how does those two cooperate each other and collaborate well? Does Aaron Glenn, is he going to be, because he's shown that he has a short fuse with the media? Does he have the maturity and the growth to allow to have Frank Wright do everything offense? Trust him to call plays, but then he has to oversee if they're going to go for it on 4th down, making the right decision as a head coach strategically to put the team in better position to win, or make that decision, go for it. And then, of course, the collaboration is, does Frank Wright call the right play to get that 1st down, that score? And then here's the next thing. Does the quarterback has enough talent to execute Frank Wright's play to win? Those are the little things in football that's going to make you a winning team or a losing team. And there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the New York Jets.
Kev, I tell you this, trust me, if you have a kindred spirit in quarterback hell, you have met him, sir. Your Jets meet the Cleveland Browns. So I understand what you're talking about. My quarterback competition right now is between a guy who hasn't been consistently good in 6 years and a quarterback who has a QBR that's at the bottom of the league. But they love him because his last name is Sanders. So this is where we're at in Cleveland. But to go back to your Jets, you're looking for incremental growth. That's all you're looking for, because you trade away a lot of pieces last year because you say, we can't win with them, So we might as well get what we can and try to win without them. So I understand that. So, i.e., our Myles Garrett trade here in Cleveland, y'all traded Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. So I get exactly where you're going. The thing about it is just have realistic expectations. Don't be up here saying, "Oh, we're gonna beat the Patriots this year, or we're going to beat the Bills this year. We're going to be competitive this year." That's what you're looking for, because this is going to be a 3 to 4 year rebuild. This is why y'all did not get rid of Aaron Glenn so quickly. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, this should have been a 1 year thing and get him out the door." If you do that, you get a bad reputation with other front office in the league, and guys don't want to come and take your job. You'll begin
They
to
already don't want to. They already don't want to take our job.
You see what I'm saying? You want Aaron Glenn was hot when he came from Detroit. Next thing you know, your next coach will be a bottom of the barrel assistant coach, and that's what you don't want. You want guys that want to gravitate to New York and say, "I want to be the change of New York." And when it comes to that, I say with Geno Smith, you just want Geno Smith to be able to make your offense look presentable.
Yeah.
Get the ball to Garrett Wilson. Let's see what Omar Cooper Jr. looks like out of Indiana. Let's see when Kenyon Sadiq gets healthy. Let's see what he looks like. And can we get the ball to Breece Hall in different ways? It doesn't have to always be in the gut. Let's throw it swing pass to him. Put him out there in the slot if need be. He's the best guy you got on offense. I mean, I know a lot of people might think it's Garrett Wilson. I think it's Breece Hall. Breece Hall needs to be highlighted more. He needs to touch the ball between 20 and 25 times. And you can get the young backs in there involved too, Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. But they're good players. But Breece Hall, you just paid him. Act like it. Treat him as such. Him and Garrett Wilson are the cornerstones of your offense. Get the ball to them as many times as you can. And I believe in Geno Smith. He's not going to come there and be the Geno of Seattle of a couple years ago. But he can be a guy that can go up there and just like, "Hey, we have to worry about those Jets on offense." He's not come there and be Zach Wilson. He's not going to be whatever Jets quarterback you want to name in the last 20 years. I mean, and that's no slight to you. Trust me, I understand exactly what that is.
When Ryan Fitzpatrick has a lot of your franchise record in 1 year, that says how terrible quarterback play has been for my franchise. And Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't terrible, but when he's the top quarterback in your franchise history with a lot of offensive records, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Kev, when you're dreaming of the days of Vinny Testaverde, that's when you know you got problems at quarterback.
I second that, because I wasn't so keen on Ken O'Brien. I thought Ken O'Brien took too many sacks. I was just getting into football, to be honest with you, to really appreciate. Maybe I underappreciated Ken O'Brien, but if I go far back as my recollection, watching Kenny O'Brien under center and so forth. So yeah, I understand. There's nothing to write home about there. With one game that was exciting was Brian E. Nagel had a opening day when it was in 91 or 92, and he threw over 400 yards, but then that went downhill. Glenn Foley, you had Ray Lucas, who was exciting, and the head coach was a little stubborn. So these are the who's of no ones, and that guy and that you remember that really didn't do much. So I've been through the suffering and the pain with the quarterback play under center, and that's the big question mark here for the Jets. Can Geno Smith be competent enough?
Like Kev from afar, and I've been on this planet almost going on 36 years. The best quarterback that I've seen for the New York Jets may be Chad Pennington in my life.
Yeah, and I wish he was stood healthy. He had he didn't have a strong arm, but he was a winner. He was smart. He knew how to move the ball. He knew the offense was designed proper to elevate his talents to the maximum. And I'm hoping Frank Reich does that. I hope Frank Reich gets the maximum out of Hall, of Garrett Wilson. There is a lot of offensive weapons, skill position players on the Jets, young. And also one thing that gets me with a warm smile is the offensive line. I thought losing Elijah Vera Tucker was going to take us a step back, but he was always injured. He was always hurt. And whenever he got hurt, the whole season went to shits. He's no longer here. Good luck in New England for Tucker. But now with this vamped offensive line, they're being cohesive now, pre-snap penalty, and like everyone in football, health. If we could stay healthy, especially in MetLife Stadium, which has been torn, it's been a bugaboo of injuries for both Giants and Jets. I just hope injuries are does not touch us this year as much, where we could stay with a 80% roster of health. I just want to see what it looks like with everything going not perfect because we don't live in a perfect world, but at least good. Every minimum, it's time for the Jets to get some type of break. I would like to see some kind of break, at least the health wise, and see the full potential. And then with general manager Muji, I like the way he's working. At first I was very opposed or did not like him as a general manager. I like with our predecessor Douglas was doing, and so forth, bringing some young talents. But I understand, and I'm starting to see at least the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes as the general manager. General manager, I'm not worrying too much. I have question about my head coach. I'm not worried about the offensive coordinator. Now for Aaron Glenn, they've been saying he's going to be calling a lot of the defensive plays. I'm not expecting the Detroit Lions defense, but I want to see some vastly improvement on the defensive end. Big year for a lot of the talents on the. But here's the one thing: our secondary, and he was a former secondary player. Can he design some schemes to help? And can my defensive line get some pressure on the quarterbacks in the AFC East?
Kev, I'll tell you this: when you got a coach that has a specialty on a side of the ball, that side of the ball cannot be the worst part of your team.
I
Trust
agree.
me, I understand that because we just got rid of Kevin Stefanski last year. He was always ballyhooed as this offensive wizard or big scheme artist at offense. We were never at the top of the league at offense ever, and I'm talking about the years with Baker Mayfield when we had Deshaun coming fresh off the trade. It never worked out to the point where this guy just scheming stuff up. It never worked out. That's why we gave him a little bit too much of a leash, but to go back to my point, like that has to be the best side of your team if you're focused on that. So when it comes to Aaron Glenn, I heard a crazy stat last year where you couldn't get turnovers. I want to
We
say
got no interceptions.
look at that, no intercept. That is a damning indictment. When your coach played DB and he was pretty damn good at it, you can't turn the ball over at all from your corners. When you had Sauce Gardner out there, it's like I understand you be like, man, they don't throw to his side, and he's like they treat him like Darrelle Revis. Well, I saw a lot of times last year before he got traded, they were trying Sauce Gardner a lot. So it seems like you don't giving him any help in the back end, or you really just trusted that man-to-man defense just a little bit too much. But whatever the case may be, this year here, you need to come from, I'm not going to say from the bottom of the pack to the top. You better go from 32 to at least 16. You better get to average, get the league average. And that's going to show a big improvement when it comes to that side of the ball. So if Aaron Glenn, if y'all are competitive in games and his defense is at least league average, he'll keep his job. But if that defense doesn't get any better and the offense is, say, between 22 and 16, he will lose his job midway through the season because they'll be like, we cannot bring in a young quarterback with this losing mentality. Like we're trying to get rid of this, and that'll be the GM trying to save face because he'd be like, okay, I kept you when I could have got another guy, so I got Woody Johnson coming down my back now. I got to get rid of you to save face, and now I'll just get another guy because that's going to be my guy that's going to either save me or going to sink me. So Aaron Glenn just has his marching orders is be competitive. Your side of the ball must be good. You must be good by the one that you like. You brought in. You was talking about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin was always close to the tops on defense every year.
Yes.
And with Mike, so and with that was the same thing that got was your from Salah out of here. Salah was great on defense. He couldn't score. The defense was solid. They just what got him was the side of the ball that he doesn't coach. So if you're gonna have a one-sided approach, other than being a CEO head coach, your side of the ball must be good.
That's why I always say the biggest acquisition for the New York Jets this season is always, and I'll still stick with it. It's not Geno Smith, it's Frank Wright. That's why I'm very high on Frank Wright. And
Mhm.
and I go back not to harp too much on Frank Reich because he still hasn't done much yet. He hasn't, My question, like you said, I'll take this right now as a Jet fan. Offense is good. Offense, if you give me a 15 to top 10 offense where they're moving the ball, they're scoring points, they look much better than we've seen in years on the team. But our defense has to be middle of the pack or middle of the row where there's improvement or even a good defense. And if the head coach makes a couple of mistakes where calling a play on whether you should go fourth down or gambling on blitz, I could live with that, Haas, because we're going to be
Mhm.
competitive in a league where maybe one or two possession is going to tell you from a win or a loss. As long as we're not down in the fourth quarter always by double digits, like oh my god, as long as we have that and we could be competitive, I'll take that. Even if its decision makings aren't the crisp, the solid, because that's learning on the job. This is only his second year as a head coach, and I can live with that as a Jet
Mhm.
fan because I want to see room and improvement. All right, he took over the defensive end; they worked well, so now we know that you have a collaborating with a kind of an assistant coach there on offense and they collaborate when to go. I could live with that because maybe he learns from his mistake. He'll say, "Hey, Frank, what do you think? Should we go for it? Not go for it? How do you trust the offense?" Those type of things, I could live with that, Haas.
Yes, you like you say, you want that strong collaboration to go down, and you don't want it to seem like if it's going south early in the year, you don't want to make it seem like Frank is up here trying to sabotage Aaron to get to prop himself up. That's the type of relationship you don't want. So I see a lot of things in the Jets this year. Like offensively speaking, I do anyway. I don't know much about your defensive players this year because you traded away the stars, so it's going to be a new thing for a person from outside looking in. So I'm going, but I see a lot of stuff out of the Jets that I do like, especially offensively. I like Garrett Wilson. I do like Brees Hall. And with the offensive line, I just want to be able to see can they protect Geno just enough to make things happen. And I believe you can be competitive in that division. I don't think you should be getting swept by the Bills or getting swept by the Patriots. Like it could happen, but if you're competitive where the games are like 24-20, or within 7 points, I would consider that a success on the year.
Yeah, I'm not. Here's the one funny part: the AFC East. To me, that's like a. I don't. I think New England's going to take a step back. I think they took advantage of a real soft schedule, like New England. They give them. I don't know, for some reason they give them the most easiest schedule year in and year out. Meanwhile, teams that like the Browns, the Giants, they get these monster schedules. Like, really? Do you see that we only won 3 games? Like, can you give those franchises some type of an easy schedule? But New England, San Francisco, they seem to get always the easy, cushy schedules for some reason. But that's another conversation for another time. I think New England took advantage of that. I think they're going to take a step back, especially a lot of teams that go to the Super Bowl and don't win it, they always regress.
Mhm.
They never, well-oiled machine. I can see, Miami is a lot of shambles. They look like they want to do not have a strong season because they want to do a new quarterback in position. They want to do they're a mess right now. And Buffalo has a new head coach.
Mhm.
Um, and a new stadium. There's going to be some electricity there. They could run away with division, or they could really be middle of the pack. Me personally, I know that Buffalo has one of the second or number one best baker in all of the NFL, who serves nothing but fresh turnovers over and over. Him and his stepbrother Dak Prescott. Those are the NFL bakers. Um, so we'll see what happens to the baker if he's going to bake, you know, delicious turnovers, or is he really going to, move over to some flan and really get, take over and take that next step with the new head coach? Because now Buffalo has no more excuses. Oh, it was McDermott. It was McDermott. Oh, it was McDermott. Now, no McDermott. Now, Buffalo, you got to take the next step. You got to get to the Super Bowl, pal. You got to take to the Super Bowl, or when are you going to start pointing the finger at the baker?
I trust me, I'm with you. I've just been getting on the Josh Allen bandwagon over the last couple of years. I always thought he was overhyped, but now I'm just like he is damn good. But he always finds a way to not be blamed in the media that for
And
losses.
Buffalo Bill fans.
Yes,
I collaborated with a Buffalo Bill fans who is the most delusional. Everything with it, like Buffalo's fart smelled like roses and peaches. Oh, it was nauseating.
The thing about Josh Allen is he may, I know this is going to be a very hot button topic here. He may be the closest thing to John Elway in this generation. And they'll be like, Hoss, why you say John Elway? John Elway got to what, 5 Super Bowls, 6? He didn't win till he got Terrell Davis. He didn't.
And the
So
funny thing is, they have good running games. It's just his decision making. Like,
it's Josh's decision making, but we can also highlight a lot of those games. Josh played amazing in playoff games that he should have won, and other people let him down. So, but we gloss on the games that he had the big turnovers, like against Denver last year, because it's easy to see. When he has 4 or 5 turnovers, that's if you don't turn the ball over 3 extra times, you win that game. But you lose to Patrick Mahomes in 13 seconds. You just throw your hands up. What the hell can you do? Oh, you go out here and have another monster game against Joe Burrow, but you lose to them. What can you do? So it's easy to, we can say McDermott, we can say the defense, but it's just things got to come together for him, and they just don't. And last year they did. He just turned the ball over. Like that's the most damning thing about Josh Allen last year. No Mahomes was in your way. No Burrow was in your way. No Lamar Jackson was in your way. Between you and the Super Bowl, between you and the AFC Championship game was Bo Nix and a strong Denver defense. A defense that you scored a lot on, but you gave them a lot back. So if you can't advance without your main antagonist in front of you, what can we expect? Like, are you going to win when you turn 38? When you're not running the ball anymore? So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you said John Elway, until John Elway got older and he had to take a step back on his skill set. He wasn't the gunslinger, but I have to play more conservative. Even a la Peyton Manning as well in his final year, his final Super Bowl run, didn't have a strong arm. He was just smart. If Josh Allen is that type when he gets older, maybe I could see him getting them to the Super Bowl and possibly winning one when he gets older, because his skill set has diminished. And maybe it's a good thing, a step back to take leaps forward. But he's still young, and he's still in his prime, all full of piss and vinegar, maybe. But to me, I think Josh Allen, when it's all said and done, he's going to be Tony Romo.
I'm not willing to go that far. I'm not willing to go that far.
Romo was a good quarterback. Romo had all. I can hear that. I hear a lot. I had this argument with a lot of Cowboy fans. Oh, he was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. I'll take Eli Manning 2 days and twice on Sunday.
The thing, that's the reason I can't go with that comparison, because Tony Romo was an overachiever. He was drafted third or fourth round. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Look at his stats though.
Again, I'm with you, but overachiever. He wasn't supposed to be there. Josh Allen was a first round pick. Like, even though he may have come out of Wyoming and nobody knew where the hell he came from, he still got drafted very highly. So if we're at the end of his career, we're saying he was like Tony Romo, that's a disappointment. That's almost like a bust type thing. So I'm not willing to go that far. But with Josh Allen, I would say he will get a championship. He'll get one. He'll get that one novel championship by the time here's just a minor conspiracy theory here, just a minor one. Buffalo will break through with something. Something's gonna happen where Buffalo. This is just a story that the NFL is gonna have to pay off on. Again, this is like wrestling. The NFL has to pay off on the streak ending in Buffalo. It's gonna happen one of these days. I want to say by the year 2032, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be a big. It's going to be a big story that the NFL is going to milk for a long time. So I give him one, and that's going to be it. But the Patriots, I will say this. Drake may get multiple ones, and we'll be sick of it by the time his career is over. And he's not that good. That's the hill I'll stand on. I don't think Drake May's that good.
But let me ask this, Hoss. You don't think there's going to be turmoil with New England, like lack of concentration or maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they rally behind Coach Drabel, and they'll be more football focused. But there's a lot of baggage and all season issues with that organization, and then losing the Super Bowl, your head coach having rendezvous with the reporter, and all that stuff, and then instead of feeling good that you guys got there, the New England team gets there without Belichick, and you're moving the Turner, and then that negativity, and I know a lot of people say, well, you didn't get that under Belichick. Could that be something that could hamper the organization?
No. Robert Kraft's gonna be like, man, you ain't committing no crimes. I was up for crimes with my happy endings. You just out here in Biloxi, Mississippi with your boo, with your side lady.
Fair enough.
You sir, and they'll be like, come on, they'll be like, Mike, be more careful. Be more careful. That's all Robert Kraft is telling him. Like,
and they can say, "Look who's talking." I mean, happy ending, happy. What was it called? Happy. What was the name of the Joey Luck Club? What was it that he was in?
Oh, he was at some massage parlor. Shout out to my quarterback who frequent those two. But yeah, back to Robert Kraft. I don't think Robert Kraft is seeing much in today's life. Man, we were in the Super Bowl. You was out here with a reporter. I mean, at least she gave us some glowing reports. At least you didn't let us down in the bedroom, did you, Mike?
Well, I heard she took good dictation.
I can believe it, but I don't see the players regressing because Mike Vrabel's out here getting happy endings from a reporter. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, just be honest. A lot of those players live in the same lives. Mike Vrabel just like it is what it is. Even though we're not condoning that type of behavior here, folks, we're not doing that. We're just being realistic here. That's all. Don't be up here telling people that we do those type of things here. But I see New England being very consistent. I think if anything, they're gonna rally behind Mike Vrabel behind this. I'm like, coach is fine. Like we're gonna keep football what it is. Football is football. He hasn't done any football malfeasance, so we'll leave it at that. But the reason I'm so high on New England is Drake May is so young and he's cheap right now. They're not going to pay him for another 2 years. So they brought in AJ Brown. They got Romeo Dobbs. Travion Henderson is becoming a thing now. They may unleash him with more opportunity with Ramondre Stevenson. So New England hasn't spent a lot of money just yet on the offensive side of the ball. That's what I'm worried about. Like we've seen the best of the Buffalo Bills. Like if Josh could just not turn the ball over at certain points, they're already where they need to be. New England can go to another level, and that's what's worrisome about their side. About them over there.
Yeah, I could understand and see where you're coming with that when it comes to New England, especially. But then there's question marks. You know, if AJ Brown, you saw he complained on the Eagles, where not getting enough touches. You know, the dynamic between Stefanski as well as the Jalen Hurts, and if Drake May is not as up to par offensively or gifted as a Hurts, where will AJ Brown complain? And if Coach Drabel put him in line, or not put him in line, but calm down that fire, that enthusiasm, or would AJ Brown go nuclear and kind of throw the allocations outside of the affair in his face? Where I'm not gonna listen to you. Who knows? I don't know, because all what the media from Philadelphia has made that AJ Brown was the issue, was a problem. Is an issue a problem? Does he bring that baggage in New England, or does he curb his enthusiasm and leave it there and say, you know what, I got to get a contract, I got to get paid, and I'm in a new fresh start, fresh canvas? That's a big question that no one knows.
With AJ Brown, I think he realizes that if he becomes the diva that no one wants on their team,
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, he's getting older now, and you're not going to be getting that many chances. This is the most nuclear option. The most nuclear you could be is Brandon Ayuk. Look at Brandon Ayuk with Frisco. He won't touch the field now. He's talking about other teams' quarterbacks. You don't want to be labeled that, because when that happens, the league hates when you use this type of term. The term blackball comes out then. Nobody wants anything to do with you, even though you're still talented. They're like, we can get your talent in the draft. Like you make too much noise. I mean, I give you another example of Deontay Johnson. You remember him? Where is he now?
Don't worry.
Deontay Johnson's not even that old, but he can't even touch a league. He couldn't make it in Cleveland. Couldn't make it in Houston. He cried so much in Pittsburgh and Carolina. Now he has no home. He's a man with no island. That's where AJ Brown don't want to be. He don't want to be a man with no island. So him and Mike Vrabel, they clicked in Tennessee. So they have chemistry already. And Drake May, It's just Drake May doesn't have that many options ahead of AJ Brown. At least in Philly. In Philly, they were a run dominant team. Tush push, Saquon Barkley, and we're gonna whoever gets open first is who gets the ball. So Devontae Smith, he may have been a step quicker than AJ Brown because AJ Brown is running deeper routes, or Dallas Goedert because Jalen Hurts want to get the ball out quickly. So I don't see AJ Brown making that big of a fuss. It'll be more of the media doing that in the beginning of the season to try to make fetch happen. In the words of Mean Girls, they try to make fetch a thing. So I don't think AJ is going to be making that much noise unless New England just regresses so much that they don't make the playoffs. Then we may have something to talk about then.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about. We got preseason games. Of course, your team kicks off tomorrow, 1:00. What are the keys? What are you looking for in week one? Usually, you're not going to see much from the starters, but what are you overall as a Browns fan if you tune in, watch in? What are you looking for?
Coming out of training camp, all I've been hearing is Deshaun Watson getting the offense in and out of the plays efficiently, and he's making sure that people are lined up correctly. Because everybody has is like, man, why is Shador getting reps taken and all of this? And they saying because Deshaun is moving the offensive play calling quickly, more crisp. He's picking up the nomenclature more than Shador. So I want to see that. I don't want to see any pre-snap penalties. I don't want to see any, delay of games. I don't want to see any false starts. So I'll give you one, but if we're seeing multiple things, I mean, it's the same old story with the Browns then. And also with the offensive line, if we're not going to be seeing starters from the Chicago Bears, don't be holding the defense. I don't want to see any holding by my offensive tackles or my guards and centers. I get so sick of hearing that flag on the play, holding on 77, holding on 72. Let
me add to that. Do you think because I see that same issue and bad football teams are normally in the top of the league when those things happen. Do you think sometimes these officials, they target these bad teams because they say the fine line between holding is very thin. I mean, a lot of the broadcasters say you could call a holding play on every play in the NFL. Do you think certain teams, because of their records and their reputation, referees tend to want to really call that like an emphasis on certain franchises?
Now you want to get into big conspiracy play now, Kev. I see what you're doing here. I will say this: the commentators are not wrong. I played offensive line at a decent level. I played in high school and I played in college a little bit. You can't call holding on every play. That is not a lie, because it's more about hand placement. If you got it behind them, they're gonna call it every time. If it's on the side, it's a little narrow gray area there. You got to stay in the front, but these guys are so strong with the bull rushes, it's hard to do that. So you got to keep your hands in and out wide. But when it comes to different teams, I will say certain teams with high priced quarterbacks are more protected. I will say that. I mean, it's about TV deals. You're seeing more teams more often than others. Would I believe that the Dallas Cowboys get more grace than, say, the Houston Texans? Possibly. Would I think that? Yeah. Would I think prime Tom Brady and the Patriots got protected a little bit more? I could believe that. I could. And you could sell it to me. So I get what you're putting down, Kev. Yeah, I believe just a bit, because these refs, they can dictate games to a certain extent. And they will be like, well, I may not call holding in this quarter, but we might call in the fourth just a little bit much. This team is up by 17 points. We need to be a little more interesting. We don't want people to switch over to their televisions. Okay, we'll bury our flags just a little bit. So I get where you're going.
For me, of course, the Jets play tonight against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Of course, they'll be having their first preseason game. What I'm looking for is the second unit and the players that are trying to make the team the 53-man roster. I want to see who has that hunger, that will, determination to make a name for themselves, come out of unrestricted free agent or undrafted free agent, or even some of these people that are on the bubble to make those play. I'm looking for my Jets to get depth because this is one thing that injuries. who makes the practice squad, that puts something on preseason, that, you know what, in case someone goes down on my offensive line, we had this guy in training camp in preseason that really was impressive. We kept him on the practice squad. We could elevate them, or we kept him, and he earned the 53-man roster spot and took it away for some, maybe a veteran that, or someone that may be here too long, that maybe wasn't in shape, wasn't ready. And that's what I'm looking for on all sides of the football, on all three sides, on the special teams as well. I need to see that. I need to see that from the. I want my team going in with depth, because you're going to go. You're only as talented. You're only going to win as much as your talent and your depth in this league. So that's what I'm looking for in this preseason. We know who's going to be the starters. We know that. We know that game 3, Bali, is the dress rehearsal. They'll get some more plays and active. The first game is barely one series and out, and see what the backup quarterback. And I'll say this: I don't think the Jets' backup quarterback is on this team for 2026. I think once the rosters get cut down, I think they'll end up bringing a veteran quarterback as their backup. I know they're big on Kepnick, but Caleb Kepnick, I know they drafted him in the 4th round. Isn't going to be fair where this team is projected to probably win under 5 to 6 games, and people are expecting the worst with Aaron Glenn being out by week 4. And if you're really going to hand the keys to a 4th round young player, where it might be overwhelmed, then you're really looking at trying to get into the draft for the number 1 pick or the top 2 quarterbacks. Hopefully not as a Jet fan, but that's why I want to see depth. I want to see, and also everyone come out of this game and the whole preseason healthy.
Like I say, with Klubnik quarterback, I give it about 6 weeks. I see. You should see where Geno is and where how the offense is looking, and it's just going to be like, if you're rated, let's just say if you're 2-4, or if you're 1-5, you may even be 3-3. Is the offense the one that's limiting growth? If that's the problem, like if you're stagnant on offense, okay, they may make a change. But if Geno is humming on offense, I wouldn't be worried about that rookie right now, honestly. So
I'm with you. You know what I'm worried? I hope this is where we talked about earlier in this live stream, was the collaboration between head coach and offensive coordinator. If the offensive coordinator sees, listen, I don't think Geno is going to get us. We have to try this kid. We're seeing some good work in the preseason. He's holding himself well. He's running the second team, the scouting team well. He's learning. He's picking up the defense. He's picking up the blitz. He's learning. We got an offensive line. We got talent that we give him just enough. Can we tolerate growing pains? And they collab and they make a decision. And I just hope that they don't do it to appease the fans, where they're looking for blood in the water. Because let's face it, I don't think Geno's coming in too popular with Jet Nation. I don't think he's the most popular. You guys still remember him when he first was here with IKF, getting punched in the face and all that with Geno. But I don't think he's that same person that when we had Geno Smith the first time around. I think there's a lot of maturity, a lot of life lessons in him, where I think he's coming back different. But again, this is a result-driven league. We need to see sometime results, like we said, some improvement.
I'll say this: the last time we saw Geno Smith on the field last year, he was flipping off Raiders fans. So, long as he don't go back and forth with fans, he should be okay. If he can go out there and the offense can put up 20 to 22 points a game, I think the fans would deal with that. I believe they would be fine. But if they go out there and they're struggling to get first downs, or say Garrett Wilson isn't being highlighted and you just paid him a whole bunch of money, yeah, we may have a problem. But I think he's gonna be okay. I think he's gonna get 6 weeks of grace, unless he just come there and shits the bed completely, which I don't anticipate that. He is a pro. I mean, so he should be okay there. But I think he's gonna get about 6 weeks of grace. And then, like I say, you have to be 2-4, 1-5 to be thinking about the rookie to come in.
That's why I contemplate. I would love to get a veteran quarterback that gets cut. That's not part of the roster, because I'm not talking about him being inept. I'm talking about injuries. Mm-hmm. Just in case he goes down, you have a backup quarterback to go in there with some experience. And then if they're middle in the road, they could go into Kupnik afterwards. Once you bring in a veteran quarterback like a Simeon, I'm just using a name out there. I don't know who's available yet, because training camps, there will be someone out there let loose. I know they were high on Jacoby Brissett, but he resigned. He's still where he was. My point, that's the kind of quarterback I'm looking for. I know people were talking about in Minnesota, with I don't want Janie McDaniel. I'm good. Keep it over there. My final question to you, Haas. Over and under, if your team is at 5.5 wins for the season
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, because we're going to ask this question is going to be asked right before week 1 starts and so forth. How do you feel right now without seeing a football game with all, because it's just the biggest overhype? Do you go over 5.5 in the league, in your division, or in the season?
That's tough. That's a tough number because that 5.5. That's right at 6. That's yes. I'm gonna say right there. I'm gonna say a push. I know that's such an easy and it's a cop out, but that's where I had us. I had us at 6 wins. So 5.5. I say yeah. I see it's over 5.5. Yeah.
I'm taking the Jets over. I've taken the under for years now, for a couple of years. Even when Aaron Rodgers, like, I don't know if they're going to win 11 games or 10. I remember when that was. I said, I think the Jets will go over. I think they win 8. I think they go 8-9, depending on coaching or a break, a bounce in the football, or the way things happen. I could see them 9-8. But I think right now they're 8-9. I think they are an 8-9 team. One game under 500. Is that enough? Like you said, how does it look? So this is as of today, August 14th. I say they win. They go 9-8. It could change. The injuries, preseason, all that good stuff. But right now,
wait a minute. That's the betting line for y'all is what 8.5?
No, 5.
Oh,
5.5.
I'm about to say, whoa, that's a high number.
No,
for
we
the
both
Jets
have
this
no.
year.
We both have 5.5.
Oh,
No,
okay.
5.5. Or I think the
Okay.
Jets. Let me double check. I might be wrong, but I thought I saw somewhere 5.5 as well as
Right.
your Browns. We kind of have almost the same odds there. Where
Okay.
and these two teams, and it's funny that we're both fans and we met for wrestling. We didn't meet on a football thread, and we both root for one of the two teams that are really bad. I mean, Hoss, I would love in January. Me and you are getting ready for the AFC title game.
Man. Speaking into existence, brother. Speak it.
That's why I said it. I don't believe it, but I'm going to speak it to existence.
Because that means either Deshaun Watson has a career resurgence or Shedeur Sanders is the man for us. So speaking,
and I would love it. I would love it because here's the right reason. And I don't care about this, but that stigma of 2 black quarterbacks can't win the team. I would love to see that, and and have the KKK shove it up there.
It is crazy because what I'm going to say here is I think both my quarterbacks are going to be out of town at the end of this year.
I know.
I think both.
But imagine that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one because I think Deshaun is gonna. I think Deshaun is cooked, and I don't think Shedeur. And I don't think Shedeur is that good. I just don't like. I want him to be good, but I just don't think he's that good. I don't.
I kind of want him to be good. Personally, I'm rooting for him and his dad, for them and what they did in Jackson State as well as Colorado. No one would have heard of those two those schools if they wouldn't go there, and they helped out. But this is now the pros. This is the big boys. This is where the big men are. This is where men are, not boys. This is where the men are. You gotta be. You gotta grow up as a man. I don't know if Shedeur is gonna take it to that next level.
That's because think about it. If his last name wasn't Sanders, he wouldn't have made the team this year. So that's why I don't think he's that good. But do I want him to be good? Yes, because I think the story would be great. But honestly, truth be told, I want Deshaun Watson's story to be better. I think that story is better. Like
the redemption story. Yeah, because you could see before getting hurt and all the issues, you could see there was a high talented quarterback there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I'm just telling you, just something about a second chance story. It just hits harder in football. And that people will say, "Oh, you're slighting Shedeur for saying it." I'm not. I'm just telling you from a story standpoint, which one appeals better to me. If Deshaun Watson washes out and Shedeur ends up being great, I'm happy either way. That means I found my quarterback of the future. But honest to goodness, I don't think either one of them is going to be my quarterback in 2027. I don't.
Here's the hope. The league, at least the league storyline wise, because we're big wrestling fans, so we love the storyline. The biggest storyline is always a redemption story. We saw it last year's Super Bowl winner in Sam Darnold, redeeming himself from being a number 1 draft pick, a failure in New York, not just in New York, in Carolina, then resurgence in San Francisco, Minnesota, and then going to Seattle and taking that next step. We're hoping for at least for Geno Smith as well, a redemption story going back into New York City and possibly getting and first and foremost, I think Jet fans will love them to break their redemption of the play out drought that we have almost 13 plus years. let alone the 56, 57-year drought of not being in the Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl. Look, the New York Knicks just gave the New York fan base a lot of hope, breaking
Yes.
that curse. But we don't have on the Jets football team right now the equivalence of a Jalen Brunson. We're hoping, we're not saying Geno Smith is that, but we like a redemption story, an underdog story, and the same thing with your Cleveland Browns. They haven't gone there in so many years. There's a redemption story, and Deshaun Watson fits more, but always something you got to keep in mind. Everyone loves a second generation talent to excel from what the father did, and that's going to be hard for Shador to over eclipse his dad. His dad was a two-way player, a two-sport player, a Super Bowl champion, but everyone likes that. Everyone likes that as well. So there's some good storylines. Do they execute it? Does it become a Netflix reality, or does it become or straight to Tubi? We will find out this season.
We're not. This is not far fetched. Baker Mayfield could be a Cleveland Brown next year again. That's in the realm of possibilities.
I actually talked that off air with Chef Dan. I said I think the Jets might be something that I think the Jets joint practice with the Bucs this week. They're going to look at him. I don't know if the Jets don't, if they, like I said, I know him. And when I mentioned earlier, I said they probably going to be in that middle of the pack, miss out a quarterback. I went Joe Burrow because I'm big game hunting. But if all said and done, if I told a lot of Jet fans they end up with Baker Mayfield, a lot of Jet fans says I could see that.
Because think about, he's in a contentious contract negotiation with the Bucs right now because
not happy about it. He said some things that was like
he's not.
But the Glazers will pay him though.
I don't see it. Like unless he comes out here and they go to at least the NFC Championship, maybe. It's just with Baker, the way that division is going, with the NFC South, he's had such a head start on those other teams in that division that they're finally starting to catch up. The Saints, they found their quarterback in Shuck. You got the Panthers. They think Bryce Young is made away. I don't know about that yet, but he won a division last year, so there's something.
And the Falcons are in some trouble.
Falcons,
could be an extreme. It could be they could actually win the division and be really like, oh shit, he's going to get himself. The Glazers going to have to pay him, or the Glazers says, I don't want to pay him. Here's the thing. That's a weak division where everyone thinks the darlings are the Saints because they have Shuck and a young quarterback and the new head coach, and he has nothing. They could do nothing but improve. But the consistent model of that division is the Bucs. But do you believe in Todd Bowles? I see him.
I don't. I don't believe in Todd Bowles, but I also don't believe in paying Baker Mayfield $60 million a year.
I'm with you.
It's just the quarterback bubble has gotten so big. It's about time for it to pop. Like if I'm the Tampa, I don't care, man. If I'm the Cleveland Browns and he comes back to over here, it's no way I'm giving him $60 million. It's not many quarterbacks I'm giving that much money to. Like,
but granted, yours the organization that gave Deshaun that terrible contract. Do they learn from their mistakes?
See,
that goes for both our franchises, not just yours.
I will say this. I'm not against big game hunting. I'm not against it. But you can't fail on it this time. Like with Deshaun Watson, when he came up in 2020, after he had that almost 5,000 yard season and 40-some touchdowns, you like this guy was a consistent Pro Bowler. He was all pro. It warranted it. I mean, in hindsight, we like it's a terrible contract, but then you like that's a great contract. So if you saw for the future, you got Dak Prescott getting paid 60 plus. You got Deshaun at 46. If we paid you early, we got you good, but it didn't work out. Think about it. I will never sweat my team for going big game hunting. That's the type of team I want to be on. Don't be safe. The safe teams do not win championships. We don't get many of those. Like in the last few years, who was safe as a franchise that won championships? I can't name too many. You got to be able to swing for the fences. So when we get out of salary cap hell, go for it again. But it can't be Baker Mayfield at $50+ million. It better be you better be Joe Burrow. It better be something like that, like you trying to bring with the Jets. It's got to be somebody like. It's got to be a top 5 guy. That's where I'm going. It's got to be a top 5 guy. We're going to go swinging for the fences. And with Deshaun Watson at the time, we thought that was the case. Oh, see, like we lost Kev for a minute. But as we getting this show down, getting us back to brass tacks, we got the Browns on Saturday against the Chicago Bears. So I want to see if we can really get things going with our quarterbacks. But I'm not going to harp too much on that. I want to see can we get in and out of the huddle on offense and defense? No problems. I want to see our receivers. Can with Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, and Jerry Jeudy, can they all be on the same page? And that's gonna lead Deshaun get them in and out of the offense as they should and highlight these young talents. And when we get ready to go to Buffalo next week, it's going against Buffalo in Cleveland. Can Shedeur do the same things, if not better? Because I want to see. Everybody's talking about Shedeur has been running the offense more slowly than Deshaun in training camp, but he's been more accurate. So if you're going to be accurate with the young receivers, you have to make sure that they're lined up correctly, and we have to make sure that we can run tempo. So I'm really interested in that. And with the Jets, I'm interested to see, can Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall be highlighted to the way that they need to be highlighted? Because I know a lot of Jets fans, they remember the days of Nick Mangold and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. Can the offensive line be I was talking about your Jets for a second. I was just saying, can the Jets offensive line be like when they had Nick Mangold, rest in peace, and when DeBrickashaw Ferguson was there? Can y'all lead the charge to make sure that Breece Hall can got holes to run through, and that Garrett Wilson has time to get up out of his breaks so Geno can get the ball to him?
I think they can. That's why I want to see how it looks in preseason.
Yeah, it's going to be this preseason. I've been more amped for preseason now than I have been in the last few years, because there's a lot going on with my team, and then with the stories being developed in the NFL, this preseason is going to be showing a lot to us. So I'm ready to watch it.
Yes, we'll be looking forward to it. I'm going to end the program because I've got some lightning strike here in the Central Florida area with powers flickering and turn off, as I had that issue that I was off. I had a surge and everything off. So, Hoss, I want to thank you on this erupt. We just came out and said, let's talk some football. Don't worry, the football talk will continue on the Sports Jedi Network, whether individually, together, collaborate, and all that stuff here. We're going to end it, unfortunately, because of the thunderstorm. Hopefully another lightning strike doesn't stop or turn the power off for a moment. I usually the battery backup kicks in, but it did not do it at that time. But Hoss, I appreciate you. You can follow Hoss here on the Sports Jedi Network on all the social media platforms. Don't forget to follow our guy, PGH Chris, with all the Pittsburgh talks and all the Pittsburgh report. Chef Dan will be doing some Giants, me with the Jets-Alorain. And again, we're looking for some more for the Cincinnati Bengals fan base, as well as some Baltimore Ravens. And we're definitely some AFC people, definitely, I wasn't was part of the AFC roundtable here a while back, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, yes. So everybody join us here at the Sports Jedi Media. We're going to have a lot of fun this year. We are very versatile. We will be covering most sports. We'll be covering wrestling. And we might even cover some of your favorite plays on Broadway. You never know what's going on with the Jedi Media. We're going to have fun here, though. So join us.
With that, you have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. Enjoy the football games tonight.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.